Hello, hello. You're tuned into this week's episode of the Steam Deck Podcast, Flip Screen Games Weekly podcast, all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Stephen Radford, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Ahoy. Hello. Now,
Hello.
a fair warning before we talk about anything. There is a lot of content in this episode we're going to be talking about. I'm sure most people know it's about not safe for work games. Some of it might be something that is upsetting to you. So if you're quite sensitive to this kind of stuff, please feel free to skip this one. With that being said, Max, Valve and Mastercard are at war. It seems.
Yeah, this and it's not great podcast host technique here, but I've seen this in the background. I've seen this happening. I haven't really been paying full attention to it. And I think it's just probably down to the fact that this isn't the sort of game that I would generally be involved in. But I also am a big component. I'm a big proponent of games being art and art being challenging, blah blah blah. But why don't you lay down the groundwork for me?
Yeah, so if you haven't heard, there's basically been the mass delisting of a lot of games over on itch, and Valve has also seemingly been forced to do that. They mass deleted all of the sex games on their platform July 15th.
And when you say all sex games, do you mean like anything adult and NSFW?
Anything that's like in that adults only category that you have to explicitly say in your settings you want to look at, and then it's deemed a like sex game by Valve in that category is being removed.
Can't believe Valve just lost 50% of its games on Steam. That is crazy.
Itch also delisted all not safe for work content from browse and search pages on July 23rd. This is a reported approximately 20,000 games, apparently.
Jesus.
They made that move with no warning to developers, but games are still accessible to owners. However, they're not searchable. Similar thing over on Steam. They're being delisted there. But if you own the game, I think you can still download the game.
Mm-hmm.
The catalyst for this was a game called No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch, but it was banned back in April. Now, a group called The Collective, or Collective Shout, from Australia, who are an anti-pornography group founded in 2009 by pro-life feminist Melinda Tankard-Reist, is claimed that they are responsible for all of this delisting. On July 7th, they shared an update calling on all of their supporters to email payment processors to cut ties with Steam and itch over hundreds of rape, incest, and child abuse games on their platforms. 1,067 individuals called and emailed payment processors as part of that campaign. And the payment processor strategy, they adopted the strategy after being ignored by Steam for months, apparently. So they'd been in direct contact. So they've used this No Mercy ban as leverage, essentially, to try and get all of these sex games and anything that's deemed not safe for work, that has adult content, that has pornographic content removed from these platforms. And, whether you agree with this or not is something we'll discuss throughout the episode, and I'd be interested to know what people think down in the description. But I think what's most interesting here is that Mastercard has come out and flat out denied that they're doing this. They've said that they are not forcing platforms to restrict adult content. They've claimed it has not evaluated any game or required restrictions. But Valve has said that Mastercard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. They cited Rule 5.12.7. Which is the rule that prohibits transactions that may damage the goodwill of the corporation being Mastercard, including content patently offensive and lacking in serious artistic value. So they're saying that any game that is just offensive, that has no artistic value, can't be sold through their network. Now, Mastercard and Visa, as far as I'm aware, have no issue processing payments on platforms like OnlyFans. So I don't really understand why this has become a problem for video game marketplaces.
Now this is where a good host would have done some research. Didn't they actually do that? Didn't they actually threaten OnlyFans before by saying you have to remove all not safe for work content? And then when they realized that, or when OnlyFans realized that the business model was that content, that they, I don't know, undid it. I can't remember the story.
Yeah, so there was some restriction on or there was a threat that the card providers. I actually think it may not have been at the card provider level. I think it was their payment processor,
Right. Okay.
which I think at the time was Stripe, who said
Right.
that
Okay.
no, they're not allowed. They're not allowed to process it. Stripe has specific terms and conditions saying that they're not allowed. But I think there was a lot of backlash against that as well.
Yeah.
This was like back in 2021 that this happened.
Mm.
And they did explore other alternative payment processors back then, but really that again was seen as essentially this is censorship. It's like a corporation trying to censor what people, consenting adults can buy. Now,
It's a shame to see Steam, Valve bend the knee in a way by, it is a marketplace for games. Maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but it's a marketplace for games. It's a marketplace for you to be able to list your game. And it's a fairly open marketplace in that it's full of, smaller titles. Some might say it's full of slot, but people can put their project, their art on Steam. Same with Itch. Itch is even more that, if you have nowhere to put your game, you can put it on Itch. And for Valve to be like, we're the place to buy games on PC, like we're the number one place. For them to limit that and silence, and I'm not saying that these are like maybe they're not important works of art, but they mean something to someone. And if how can they decide what does or doesn't exist, or how can they let someone else decide what doesn't exist on their platform because it's their platform, right? It stinks of, it's fueled by money. I'm sure that Valve would realize it. If there's too much friction between people buying a game because Mastercard's not available, they're going to lose out on money in the long run. So they've voted with
like
their
it's
wallet
at the
there. And
card processor level. So it's not even like, oh, we can't sell with PayPal now. We can't sell these games through PayPal. People I think would understand that. Like, oh well, I'll just use my credit card. It's no problem. This is at the card level, and if Visa and Mastercard revoke the ability to process payments, you just can't use your card. You can't make a payment online. They essentially have a monopoly on it. Visa's really the only one issuing debit cards, and Mastercard is like the world's most popular credit card network. But it's difficult. I kind of can empathize somewhat. Obviously, No Mercy is not. It's not really something that I would expect to be available on these stores.
No, I think it's in it, and I think the big issue I have is with blanket bans as opposed to on a case by case basis, because this is a game that, from everything I know about this game, it is like offensive for the sake of being offensive.
Yeah,
it's
like
haha, isn't this
a
funny?
vile
You
game.
can do this,
Yeah.
a sexual assault, or I think there's something related to like incest as well. And it's like it's not saying anything with that. It's just for shock factor. And I think that while I don't agree that sort of thing is I don't know, like it's still, I think it has a right to exist in so much that like
But
everything has a right.
yeah, but it doesn't.
It doesn't have to be on Steam.
Yeah, exactly. You can make a movie, but it doesn't come out on Disney Plus. Like they have a choice that they removed that, and the issue I have with the blanket bans is we see time and time again people in the LGBTQ community, queer people, always get caught in the crossfire here.
Yeah.
There's like an IGF Grand Prize winner, Consume Me. It disappeared from Itch. It's a semi-autobiographical work about disordered eating. There's like games about dealing with abuse that they suffered as children that are being removed. These are different. Yes, the content and the themes of it, you might look at first glance and go, oh, well, that's a game about child abuse, so we're not going to have that on the store. But that's very different of, potentially a game that's going to help someone process something that happened to them as a child versus here's a game where you can like opt to go and assault people.
Yeah, context is so important with these things. Like you can have two games that both deal with the same topic, right? You can have a game that deals with child abuse, let's say. Two games can deal with it very differently. You can have one game that uses it as humor, or uses it as a shock factor, or uses it just as like a childish, not childish, but like there's no substance behind it. It's not saying anything. It's not doing anything. It's not from an experience. And you can have another game that tackles it away from a personal experience or from an awareness point of view, something like that. I don't know. where it's got some substance. It deserves to exist. It deserves to exist. You can play that and glean something from it, see a point of view from it, sort of thing. But the fact that they're both being tarred with the same brush, so to speak, they're both being given the same punishment, I guess, because there's no curation there, there's no context there. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like this is in that not safe for work category, therefore we're
exactly,
just
yeah.
getting rid of it. Now, I don't really know what the solution there is. Like, do we have it where it's like a vetting process similar to what Apple does on their App Store, where if you
Mhm.
are making a game that's deemed not safe for work or is going in a not safe for work category, someone at Valve or Itch has to look at it. I mean, that potentially drastically slows down the release of these games, the cost to Valve and to Itch. Or I think ultimately what will happen is we'll see yet another marketplace pop up because Itch popped up as an answer to Valve not letting any game on there at one point.
Could you not? I mean, and I guess I'm opening the door here for brigading, but like, surely there's like a system you can do, like a YouTube system where you flag a game. You can say, "Oh, this game, I don't agree with this game," and then it's someone's job to look at these flags, whether they
Yeah,
play the
I mean,
game
they
or look at the
probably could,
game,
right? Like
and they
after a
can and
certain
they
number, just
yeah,
go,
because
a
then you
human needs
can
to look at this
say,
now.
"Oh yeah, this actually does fit in with our guidelines because of the context, because of this and the other." You just don't agree with it is the difference, whereas uh, you can have your guidelines as a um, business, and those guidelines should be dictated by you and yourselves as a company, not by another corporation who is holding you almost at ransom. But yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it is for Steam to have like a, a flagging system. And yeah, people are going to brigade. People are going to say, "Oh, I didn't agree with this. Oh, this has a person of color or a member of the LGBT community in it, and therefore, I personally don't think this deserves to exist." You see this all the time in the last couple of years. Games get review bombed or mass downvoted
Oh yeah, because they've
or
got like trans characters
misinformation.
in or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
it's got it's got a trans character or the main character's a different character in the same series where there's a woman who's the playable character or something like that. Something that people will uh, sort of use as a target. The person whose job it would be to look at these would be able to see, oh no, it's just the reason they're doing it is because it's these types of people are reporting it. There's not a legitimate issue here. But then I guess you're getting into the whole situation of what's a legitimate issue. Who the does the person's political
I mean, that's
leanings
seemingly what this is, right? It's all driven by politics. The organization that has basically pressed for this and wrote the open letter, and Itch has openly said that Collective Shout launched a campaign against Itch and Steam in order to get all of this removed,
Mhm.
is a conservative, anti pornography, pro life organization. Like they are very much using politics and using their position in order to get what they want. Developer Robert Yang has said Collective Shout is acting in a typical conservative anti-LGBTQ tradition with a familiar pattern. Culture war morality campaigns to brand everything they dislike as pornography and obscenity. And we've seen that before. We saw this all the way back in the 80s and 90s with Night Trap. Like that was really the
Mm.
catalyst that started all of this. It was Night Trap on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. It was like we've got this what did they call it? The FMV game, the
Mm.
full motion video game of and there's some scenes of these women who aren't wearing very much in their house, and therefore nobody should be able to see them. We need to remove this from our store shelves. It just completely forgets the fact that there are people over the age of 18 that like video games.
Yeah.
I would hazard a guess that the majority of our audience are those exact people that they're over
Yeah.
18 and they like video games. And
You
sometimes though that content serves a purpose. It's a narrative. It's not just pornography. Pornography is like
yeah.
one of those things that when you see it, and I think it's like most of the time in games, it's not. It's not that.
Yeah, I think that your what you're saying there in relationship being pornography does make a good case for there should be um, another marketplace, or there should be a section in Steam that you specifically opt into. Instead of opting out of these games, you should have to opt into.
That's what it
these
is
things.
at the moment.
Oh, is
like,
it really?
If you want to
Right.
see it, you have to go into your settings and say, I want to see this content. Like it already was that way. Same with itch. In order to view the not safe for work section, you had to register to have an account. I don't know if there was any age verification on there, because that's obviously something we're now seeing in the UK. If you want to access any kind of adult content, I mean, I had to do it on Reddit for a subreddit I'm a member of, and
Name
not
the
like
subreddit,
that,
Steve.
Max.
Obviously,
Not
name the
like that.
subreddit. Drop it. Drop the sub.
um,
r/what, Steve? r/what?
I could possibly say. So like you have to age verify everywhere, and Xbox has said that they're also going to be adopting that system in the
Yeah,
UK as
that doesn't
part of
make any
their
sense to me.
ongoing commitment to player safety, that you're going to have to verify your age now in order to retain access to all social features such as voice or text communication. Players who don't verify their age between now and early 2026 can continue to play Xbox. However, starting next year, their use of social features will become limited to friends only until they complete the age verification process. Like maybe that's the answer. Like you want to see these games, you hook into a system like the UK's got and verify it. I don't like it. I don't like the UK system, but that's purely from like my political stance of like I don't think the government should be getting involved in saying what we as a society can have access to and see.
Yeah, I agree. It's. I think I'm just formulating this thought. I think that we are using the blanket over 18, not safe for work, sexual content, whatever. When the issue here is really that there are things that push past those boundaries, and that by saying all not safe for work games, and it's the same as what Mastercard have asked for. It's the same as what they've pushed for, and what's happened is that it's not just these games that have content that is offensive and over the top and things like that. It's games that just are not safe for work for many, many reasons. Like you've said before about like stories, personal stories about people, changing bodies or having, suffering abuse, experiencing abuse.
Or like
These
coming
things
to
are all,
terms with their coming to terms with their sexuality. It's like something like Dream Daddy going to be like removed from the
yeah,
store. Like, like there's a lot of stuff that it could easily get wrapped up in this. It starts with like the pornography, then it moves on to the gratuitous violence, and then it moves on to the next thing and the next thing. And like
yeah,
it becomes like a slow downward spiral until
yeah,
eventually all you've got is like wholesome family friendly games. And that's not what the art form and the medium is about.
yeah. I think I mean, yeah. At what point do you say that violence is just bad? I mean, we've had this before. Violent video games. This has been a conversation for years and years and years and years and years. It's also one of those conversations that now you laugh at. Think, oh, they thought Grand Theft Auto was making people go out shooting people or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, people are going to play. What was the game? Was it like Manhunt? Oh, we're going to
Yeah,
ban this.
I
They're
mean
going to go and
that is good context, to be honest, because Australia is one of the only countries that still bans video games like that. Like
really,
Manhunt, I think, was the first game that was banned there initially, and they've long had a history of being very strict and very conservative in terms of censorship on video games.
how
So
does that work in terms of Steam, for example? Like, could I just get a VPN to play that game, or is it just a sale in shops of a boxed video game? Could I still go on to like Itch, for example, buy a game like Manhunt and download it in Australia if it was banned in Australia?
that I don't know, but apparently, if you're caught having any of it at the border, you'll get up to a $110,000 fine.
Jesus.
There's like there's some really strange games on the banned list. Saints Row 4, The Witcher 2. Like some of these games that you just wouldn't expect to be still on the banned list, like Blade Runner Enhanced Edition.
That's the point and click one that got
The point and
re-released.
click game, yes. It was
Yeah.
banned for interactive sexual activity involving a person who appears to be under 18.
Okay. All right.
But
So
I don't, like there's let's see, I mean, Hotline Miami was banned.
really,
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was banned
it's
on ahead of the Nintendo Switch release in 2019, and it's been
it's.
refused reclassification, so they can't sell it there. So
I
none
guess
of
it's the
these games are
classification
available to be
thing.
sold. They can't sell them on Steam.
Okay, but you could probably work your way around it, right? I gather.
You can work your way around it. You hook up to a VPN, you change your location on your Steam account, but then I
Yeah.
don't know if like, I mean, if you really want to play these games, you pirate them, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the like really terrible a route. But like, what else can you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, I guess the issue with a lot of these games is that they're not going to be largely pirated. When I'm talking about the games that have been banned recently, is they're on itch because there's nowhere else for them to be. Itch is that you're banned from here, you're banned from here, so you can go to itch instead. And now itch has, I don't know, if itch set itself up to be that, well, if you can't have your games on Steam, you can have them on here. To then bow down and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Payment Provider, you were right, we were wrong about that." It just goes against. It's just cowardly.
I really feel for Itch because like they're a small company and they could get
Yeah,
pummeled into oblivion if they don't, if they stand up to the payment providers. Someone like Valve, they have that cred and that credence and that weight behind them that they can say, "Hang on a second, Mastercard, you're lying. Like you are actually pushing us here. Like you can't say no. We're not doing that because we know you are, and here's the receipts to prove it."
what is the next step then? Because so this has happened. It's a dumb thing that's happened.
Yeah.
Is this staying this way? Is
My
there
my gut
anyone?
feeling is no, it's not going to it's not going to stay this way. There has been an online petition calling on payment processors to remove the censorship policies, and it's collected, as of time of recording, over 200,000 signatures. I think that's probably going to continue to grow as people push back against this.
Is this a UK, US? Where is it, or EU? Like, where is this
I'm not
petition?
sure where the petition is. I think it's like a developers
Change.org kind of. Oh,
petition.
okay.
But we can hunt the link out if people are
Yeah.
interested. And pop in or someone pop it in the comments. I'm sure someone knows about it. But my gut feeling on this is it's one of those things that people forget about, and like collective, this collective shout just like eventually goes, "Oh yeah, we won. Look, we did a great job," and then
Mhm.
quietly
Eventually
these
they
games
yeah.
like slowly show up again on the platform once Mastercard and Visa have kind of the spotlight off of them.
I
But
do
I
think
think
as well that there is like a Streisand effect happening with some of these games. Like, No Mercy is not a game that was ever on my radar until controversy around the
mm,
content happened, and then, if anything, all of these articles saying Steam removed this game's been removed from Steam, this game's been removed from itch, blah blah blah. All of these people or news outlets posting this alerted people to the game, and then they were, you know, the conversation then becomes about like more about censorship and blah blah blah, and then they end up just through not agreeing with censorship at all. They end up accidentally siding with the content of this game, and people end up hearing about this game more. Anyway, you create an effect where just
when people
because
want to look at it, they want to see it now. They want to go,
yeah,
well,
because
why was it so bad in order to get banned and
yes,
get all of these games taken off?
by trying to remove the game, they instead make it more popular than it ever was. And I wonder if in the same situation, this group how are saying, look at it where you can get all of these horrible porn games. And then when they come back, people are like, I know where to get my porn games. I'll just go straight to itch and get them all. Although I'm sure if you're the kind of person that plays porn games, you know where you're going for them, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah, obviously. I'm going to that subreddit that I told you about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't tell you about it yet, but after the show, send me the link. I'll add a picture of my face to it.
Oh, please. That'd be brilliant, It's
Got the
exactly
subreddit
it's
just to
exactly what
get
it's
in.
needed. Yeah.
Just to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I part of me wonders if that is where we're going, and that's going to be the future. That there's a compromise here that in order for payment processors to allow these games to be sold through their platform, um, they have some kind of age verification system, and that's put in place. But I thought the payment processors could do that anyway. It's like
Yeah.
usually one of the forms of like verify your ID is put your credit card number in.
Yeah, you do it in gambling if you want to go. So like gambling sites now, you try and sign up and it goes, here's this um KN, it's like know your whatever.
Oh yeah,
Um
KYC, know your
K
customer.
yeah, that's it, KYC. There are some things that you can, an app that you can sign up to, and then that is like anywhere where you now log into this app. We know you're 18, therefore you're allowed to access this site. I'm surprised it's not the sort of thing where you can do something like that instead of removing them all, or you have it so that if you are buying one of these games, you're limited to a specific payment provider, and you can't buy these games using those payment providers. The games don't exist, but, because they have. I do think Mastercard has every right to say we don't want our stuff used for this.
100%. Like anything that's 100% categorically illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have every right to say, I do not want our money. Oh, I don't want our.
You can't go on like Amazon and buy some fucking like MDMA, can you? Like you just can't do it. It's like it's not going to happen. Some people might go, that's a great thing, and some people are going to go, well, that's really unfortunate because I was going to a rave this weekend and I was hoping I could easily get a hold of it. But people still get a hold of it, and I think that's the same thing that's going to happen here. People are still going to get a hold of the games. People are still going to make the games.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to be as accessible, and that's a real shame for people like the LGBTQ community who have had their games just kind of ripped from the marketplaces. That these like big titles that had won so many awards and like have been showcased at festivals, and all of a sudden because they're in that not safe for work category, and they maybe talk about sex and relationships and bodies, and maybe they talk about like the eating disorders or drugs, that they're not allowed to be sold anymore because Mastercard has come down, and they've come down with like Thor's hammer to go, well, hang on a second, you just get rid of all of it. If we find anything, we're not going to let you sell anything.
Yeah. Can I just say, you say the LGBT community like you're not a member of that community. Like there's just a way that you say it that excludes yourself from it. And I think you should, it's called pride, Steve.
I'm part of the Levi's community.
You're part of the Levi's community. Yeah.
Check out the rainbow.
What does the E and the I don't know. What do they all stand for?
The E.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Everyone. There we go. That's nice.
Lesbians, everyone. Very. I don't know.
Itch.
Very itch. Very itch.io.
Christ. I can see why Pete gets frustrated when I do a handbrake now. Just dead to the important conversation, doesn't it? But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I am a member of the community, but like it's sad.
It is.
To be honest, they aren't really games that, other than something like Tell Me Why.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of games have never been something that I've been drawn to. But I do know a lot of people that I know. For a lot of people, they are like that. Mm-hmm. This is one of the ways that people kind of explore their sexuality and how they come out.
Yeah, I think people don't come across these games by mistake. Let me rephrase that. So people don't stumble upon these games because they might do. They don't stumble upon these games by mistake.
They potentially did, because like they were in that browse category.
Right. Well, then surely it's about restricting.
That's what
there we go. Now I'm saying restricting. Now I'm
You're the problem.
Indoctrinated. I'm the problem. But you can. There's like a layer you could go through. Like I specifically want to look for this, and while I'm in this not safe for work section, I specifically like to look for this because that is the thing I'm into, and there are people making content for me. The same as porn. You can go on, and granted, there's illegal stuff that you can't and shouldn't look at, but there are fetishes that are.
Yeah, but those aren't on. I would hope they're not on like the mainstream places. For
I think you can find like, if not real versions of it, like the whole like stepbrother stepmom thing, like that was a way to make incest palatable, because for some people that was a kink of theirs, and you market it and wrap it up in a way that's actually not incest, but it's close enough for some people, and so there is like a proxy of that fetish available on there, right? And I think that there is you are in an 18+ website to look at sexual content. And granted, if it's not illegal, if it is illegal, shouldn't be on there. If it's not illegal, there shouldn't be any rules for what should or shouldn't be on there. You should just be able to dig for it. You know?
Yeah, that just
I think
comes
it's the
down
same with
to a
games.
question of morals at that point. It comes down to
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
well,
It's not
I don't
sometimes it's
think
not
that
even
should be
morals.
allowed.
It's also personal taste as well. You know, which is just
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, but like some, I look at some of the stuff in Australia that was banned, right? And like
Mm,
that, State of Decay had to have a censored version that changed drugs to vitamins.
right.
That's how they got around it. There's so many weird little restrictions. Like
It's like how the
people
Marvel
in the
movies.
game still know I'm taking drugs. It might say fucking vitamin C on the
Yeah.
bottle, but I know it's not.
When the guy takes a pill and suddenly like trips for 3 hours, or there's also like in the Marvel films, for example, they will keep all the LGBTQ, all the kisses, the same sex kisses. They'll very quickly just have them in there so they can be just snipped out without any issue, because they can't commit to their decision to keep that in there, because
Well,
there's going to be
also
another
some
country that.
marketplaces don't allow it.
That's what I'm saying.
Some
That's what I mean.
markets are like, nope,
Yeah,
that's
that's
not,
what I
that's
mean.
not
That's what I
allowed.
mean. Like, it's the same thing with Australia. I guess you make a version of the product for that market.
Yes.
Um, and that doesn't mean that nobody should be able to see that thing.
No, but it like that's the difficulty here. Like, it is a fine balance. Like, we want to protect people from seeing this potentially harmful content, and like,
Yeah.
and I think we should be protecting kids from seeing this stuff. I don't think someone, some kid should be playing even something like Grand Theft Auto.
No, I
But
mean,
that's
it
just
did not do me any favors playing Grand Theft Auto as a kid.
no. Like, you just shouldn't be, that shouldn't be accessible to you
Yeah.
as a child. But if I'm a consenting adult and
Yeah.
I've opted to, and I'm over 18, I've opted that I want to look at this stuff. There's nothing illegal in there.
Yeah.
It's maybe just got some boobs. Then, like, why can't I hand my money over to do that? Because that's
Yeah.
no different than going on a website that hosts videos of boobs.
Yeah. And I don't know why. And I meant to make this point at the very beginning. They are bending over backwards to what was it, 1,067 individuals. That 1,000 people called up and emailed, and they were like, "Right, that's it." Was that just because they were oblivious? I can't imagine that they were like, "Huh, someone's bought." I'm not going to even think about trying to come up with a fake name for a porn game, but like, surely they're seeing, "Oh, this purchase has been made on this website." Um, I guess you don't get that much information, but still, surely they're not like, "What? People are buying porn games on they're buying video games with how have I not been aware of this before? Thank you, 1,000 people, for letting me know about this. Now I'm going to do something about it."
Yeah, like,
Surely this
it's
is not
because of
new.
that No Mercy game that Collective Shout became aware of it,
Yeah,
and obviously that like drew light to it. And then I guess they went through and found similar games, or games with similar, or that they deemed had similar content because it was pornographic. Yeah,
what's annoying is that because because people are campaigning against this, in a roundabout way, people are now supporting the developers of No Mercy. They're almost like,
I can
I don't
see why
know.
people would see it that way, but also, like, I'm here supporting the developers of Consume Me, the
Yeah.
developers of Sabat, the developers of Grunge, the
Hmm.
developers of those games that have got really caught up in the crossfire, and probably the countless thousands of other games made by indie developers that have been caught
Yeah.
up in the crossfire that aren't even of pornographic nature.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to say we're going to ban porn. Like, fair enough. If Valve wants to make that stance and say we're not even going to host that anymore, go for it. But to then have, like, other content wrapped up in the crossfire, and brushed off the platform as if it never existed,
Hmm.
it's really sad. Like, that's how we lose media. That's how we lose. That's how
Yeah.
we lose. That's how you lose faith in a platform. You
Hmm.
lose faith in a medium, and it's how, like, developers go, well, I'm not going to fucking bother making a second game then, because I can't even sell it. I can't even host it anywhere. I can't even get this in front of an audience that I think would really benefit from seeing this art.
I just had stumbled upon something else. I was just looking up because I was pretty sure I knew that on Switch, the Switch eShop, there's porn games. There's porn, or how full of porn it is, I don't know. But there is, there are games called like Hentai Games Collection, Hentai Games Fun, whatever. So I've just quickly gone on.
Yeah, do you like this?
Yeah, I typed in H and it came up immediately, so that was really easy Google search for me. But I've gone on the eShop to look at Hentai Games Collection. And it's gone, welcome the first time to this page. And I've gone, thanks for having me because I've never been here before.
It was a purple link, wasn't it?
It was a very purple link, let me tell you. Yeah. It was deep, deep purple. Doesn't that every time you clicked a link, it got darker and darker and darker.
Until it's black.
This says the content is not available to purchase in the country associated with your Nintendo account or the country associated with your Nintendo Network ID. Now, I don't think it said that before.
No, I don't think it did either. Unless that's part of the new law that the UK's brought in like 2 weeks ago.
I've never been requested to send my face to Nintendo. They've got my me, which I think it should count personally, but I've never been given that option. I was never requested for me to confirm who I am before.
Maybe, yeah, and the fact that it's linked to your Nintendo ID, so like you can't even use a VPN to get around that because they know that you're in the UK because it's on your Nintendo account.
Yeah,
like you couldn't even get around it if you wanted to pay for something because you got to put your address in there.
Yeah, are you telling me I can't? That you don't think there's any way for me to be able to play Hentai Games Collection?
No, not unless you had like a US account, US bank account, US address.
Let's speak to Pete. Let's get Pete on the line.
Yeah.
I can buy Hentai Games Collection Volume 2. Sorry, do you know what?
But not Volume 1.
Not Volume 1.
Maybe Volume 1's the one you want.
Why can't I? Yeah, that is so weird. Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent there, wasn't it? Another one. Relevant though, so that's rare.
Yeah. What do you think the answer is? Because to me, I'm stumped. I'm not a policymaker. I think some kind of age verification is what Mastercard and Visa are going to ask for, and then I think they'll.
Yeah, but then that's not going to be enough, though, is it? I don't think that's not going to be enough because it's not necessarily all about the kids. It's also just about
because that's what Collective Shout has said that it is all about.
Okay, fine.
That's what they're saying, that they don't. They don't want this content sold. Since our launch in 2010, we've pulled down billboards objectifying women, sexualized children's clothing, sexually violent video games, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. But those games are already rated 18, so surely removal of them isn't enough.
Yeah, but in Australia, it is a different landscape in terms of the games, right?
That is a good point. I forgot that they're Australian, where they can't even take drugs in whatever that game was you said, State of Decay. What do I think the solution is? I think the solution is that you should, Valve should just say, sure, if they want to buy these games, they can't use you. There are other avenues. Maybe you put your money.
But who are the other avenues? Because that's the problem. Your card is either issued by Mastercard or Visa.
The other way to do that then, I guess, would be if you want to buy those kind of games, you have to buy the Steam credit to that value first.
That's a good way of working around it. Yeah, you have to have the Steam credit on your account.
When you go to buy it, instead you can buy a Steam credit up to that value, and there's probably a way to do that. I know there's a way to do that because I've bought a specific amount of Steam credit before.
I'm pretty sure that's how PlayStation used to do it, like back in the PS3, PSP era or PSP era. You would top up your account and it would have that wallet balance, and that's all it would ever charge you was the wallet balance, and then it would use that balance to actually buy the game.
If you go on Steam and you go to the add Steam credit thing and you view source, you can edit it to be any number you want. And then you can buy that number of Steam. You don't have to stick to their 20, 30, 50.
Why is it not just let you put a number in? They could easily, they should let you do that.
The system exists because you can do it. There was a thing where I wanted to buy an exact amount of Steam credit to hit a threshold for a bonus from a bank thing. I don't know. Can't remember what it was now. So I put that into the Steam and it just gave me that amount. Surely if you're going to buy that game, you click, I want to buy, I don't know, let's say
I'm going to buy £7.95.
Yeah, I'm just going to buy £7.95 worth of, and if you're listening, Mike Hammond, you like that number, but there's £7.75 worth of credit, and then straight away you can use that to buy your game. You don't even necessarily have to. There's not because then what if Mastercard go, oh, blah, blah, blah. What you can actually do is just click a button that takes you to the thing, and then you can go navigate yourself. It's not great customer experience in the way of funneling a customer from visiting the site to a sale, But if you're there to buy that, you're pretty fucking determined you're going to buy that. If you're trying to buy, Wanky Panky 3 or whatever, you're determined to. By the way, Wanky Panky 1 and 2 are masterpieces. You should play them. You're determined enough. You're going to go back through it. If you're taking a picture of your face in the UK so you can go on Pornhub and have a top tank, you're going to press back a couple of times and go back to the page that you were on 2 clicks before. And like that to me is the obvious. Not the obvious. That to me is a good solution. The obvious solution is to just, I don't know,
it should just be on a case by case basis. These
Yeah.
games get flagged, they take them down.
Yeah.
Like, something like No Mercy is like, yeah, we're not going to allow that game on the platform. But something like a game exploring your sexuality or exploring the fact that you abused as a child and going through that.
Yeah,
that is fine. That is fine on the platform. Or even something that's like a hentai game.
Yeah,
cool.
Or the developer should have a chance to state their case.
They should, yeah.
So, like with early access games, and this is a fresh thought, so it's not really fully fleshed out. Early access game. Why is this game in early access? Why do you think this is a game that should be in early access? There should be a why is this game deserve to be on here?
I mean, even in Australia, they had that process, right? Like your game gets banned, you can then appeal it. They'll let you then do it. Like that's what happened with State of Decay. The game got banned because it let you take drugs. Okay, we'll appeal that. We're going to release a version that has vitamins in.
Yeah.
Like if that, if the solution is like, well, we need to have a version for Australia that covers everything up, or we just can't sell in that one market, well, let them do that.
Or do what Symphony of the Night did, where the whole second half of the game is set in Australia. The joke there is that the castle's flipped upside down, by the way, if you didn't play Symphony of the Night. That's a really funny joke. That's a really funny joke, by the way. If someone, whatever. I'm wasted on you.
You are wasted on me, man. But yeah, let us know what you think of this in the comments. Do you think that Visa and Mastercard should have a monopoly? Do you think that that private companies should be censoring the content that adults should see? And what would your approach be? Like, how would you solve this problem? Because me and Max are completely stumped. But thank you all so much.
Great idea, but whatever.
Well, better ideas than mine. Thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. With a very special thank you to our Patreon producers for the month of August. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasmar, aka Sobe, Steve Stompy, Susan Stillites, Cats, and also Boomies, Voodoo Vic, That One Kid Nick, Ty the Dude, and Wackahula. Remember, if you want to let us know what you thought, make sure you do it down below. Max was going to say something.
I was going to say, if you are a Patreon producer and you want to rescind your support because I said the word wank 5 times, I completely respect that.
We did give them a content warning at the top.
We did, but that content warning didn't say I would say the word wank more than
British people, unless they're British, they probably don't even know what that means.
That's true, actually, yeah.
So yeah, you're all good. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to give this episode a like, a share it with a friend, click the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you're an audio listener or a video listener on Spotify, please take a second to leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps us get circulated. For the crew, I've been Steve. That's been Max. We'll see you next week.
Bye.